Today is the 5th Sunday in Lent. Lent is the time that we get ready to celebrate Easter. And Easter is the time when God brought Jesus back to life again. But how do we get ready? One way to get ready is to think about some of the things that Jesus said and did. Everywhere that Jesus went, he taught people to love God and to love each other. He healed the sick, he made the blind see, the deaf hear, and the lame walk again. Jesus also had the power to bring dead people back to life. And in the small town of Nan, he raised the only son of a widowed mother. Sometimes Jesus needed time to talk with God in prayer. And so once he took Peter, James, and John with him to a mountain. And while they were on the mountain, Jesus' appearance began to change. His face shone and his clothes became a dazzling white. And Moses and Elijah came and they talked with Jesus. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my son. I love him. Listen to him." Peter, James, and John, they wondered what was happening on the mountain, but they told no one of their experience until after the resurrection of Jesus. Meanwhile, in the valley below, a father had brought his son to find Jesus. You see, his son was ill. He couldn't talk, and he had seizures. And so the father had come to Jesus to have his son healed, but he couldn't find him. Some of the other disciples were there, though. And so the father asked them if they could heal his son. And they tried, but they failed. When Jesus came down from the mountain, he was able to heal the boy. Now, it was the time to celebrate the feast of the Passover, and this year, Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. And the people would spread their palm leaves and coats as he rode into Jerusalem. "Hosanna in the highest! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." Now Jesus went into the temple area, into the court of the Gentiles. This was where the merchants would sell their offerings, and the money changers would exchange the currency. And it made Jesus sad to hear all the noise and to see the money changers and the merchants cheating those who had come to worship and pray. And he overturned the tables, and he shooed out all of the offerings, all of the animals, and he said, my house is a house of prayer for all nations. Later in the week, Jesus was back in the temple, and this time he was joined by his disciples. They were in the women's court, and this was the part of the temple where the Jewish men and the women would go and pray and worship. And Jesus and his disciples sat on the steps, watching the people come and go. And in the women's court were the offering boxes. People would bring their offerings and their gifts, and some of the people would bring things, and other people would bring money. And if the coins were put into the offering boxes, they would rattle all the way down. They would make so much noise that everyone in the temple area would hear and notice who was giving what and how much. Some of the rich people, well, they liked to bring lots of coins and fine gifts, and they would stand by the offering boxes and they would take a long time putting all their gifts and money in. Everyone in the area would notice the big gift and they would say, "Oh, look how much money that person is giving. What a fine gift to the temple." But even though the rich people gave big gifts, they still had a lot of money left over to use for themselves. Now, while Jesus and his disciples watched, a poor widow came into the temple. Her husband had died, and she had to work very, very hard for the little money that she had. And this day, as she went into the temple to pray and to worship, she took all the money she had. She had no more money left. And she very quietly placed her coins in the offering box. Well, the people who saw the widow lady said, "Oh, what a small gift. She only gave 2 tiny coins. That's not even like a penny. Why did she even bother? Why, she should have just stayed home. What can anybody do with such a small offering?" But Jesus said, I tell you the truth. This poor widow put more into the offering box than all of the others. And now I invite you to join me in the wondering questions, to wonder together at home. I wonder what made Jesus act the way he did. I wonder what he meant when he said that this poor widow put more into the offering box than all the others. I wonder if we or you have ever judged someone without knowing their whole story. I wonder, how does this story help us understand how Jesus wants us to treat people? I wonder, how does this story help us get ready for Easter? I wonder what else Jesus will do or say that will help us get ready for Easter.